Reclaiming your voice, healing the fear of being seen. Now, I want to talk about this today. So, are you someone who fears being seen? Well, I've got some tips for you. Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast. I used to be one of those people that was fearful of being seen. Now I have to tone myself down a bit to be quiet, and I'm kind of the person who's like, I want to present, I want to speak, but I average it out and I don't do it all the time, right? But I'm more likely to volunteer to speak and stand up and talk than I'm not, right? Because I associate speaking with more pleasure than I do pain. I used to associate speaking with more pain than I did with pleasure. I'd be like, oh my God, what would people think if I stand up and look stupid? And there's a book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. Recommend you checking it out. And he talks about how like public speaking is like one of the biggest fears, because it weirdly, but the brain kind of is, let's not call it weird, but the brain is very unique in a certain way. Links that to like you could be kicked out of the tribe, even though there is no like tribes and wild animals running around in most places in the world. And then therefore that leads to like death. So yeah, that's like where the fear of public speaking goes. But when you can start rewiring your mind and start thinking about the positive, that's the big difference I've had. I said that to some people in a Tony Robbins. I don't go to Tony Robbins events anymore, but like I remember saying that in the Tony Robbins event, that if they can start focusing on the pleasure they can get from it rather than pain, it makes a massive difference. I used to be in the place where I was like scared to say my name in a meeting, just like speak up or ask a question. I was like, oh, I won't dare ask a question, I'll look stupid. I won't dare even say my name because I'll look really embarrassing. People might ask me questions. So I was so scared of being seen. So we think people are judging us, and actually you're always going to get judged in life, but not how you think, right? We're judged. Have you ever like not judged something or someone? Probably not, because your brain does it automatically. Maybe not consciously, but unconsciously we do it. It's like how our brains work, because we're like assessing things all the time. That's what it does, right? Now, I did enough action to actually prove to my brain that public speaking is a pleasurable thing, right? And I didn't even realize. I was like, right, I'm going to speak up here, I'm going to speak up here, I'm going to speak up here. And I kept showing myself that it was actually a pleasurable experience to speak up rather than hide eventually. So here are some tips that I want to share with you today in terms of being seen, because I know lots of people are scared, and so I want to be really clear. I was honestly that person who was like, I'm really passionate about this, because people sometimes say, oh, you're just confident at like speak. It's like I put a lot of work in to go from a shy. I used to be, when I was 16 years old, I was so shy of being like seen in a new environment that I hid in the toilets at lunch. Not every day, but this was when I went to a new environment, the new school, and my friends I knew there weren't there that day, and I didn't want everyone to look at me. I didn't want to speak to anyone because I'd be nervous. I didn't want to be stood on my own because I thought I was so self-conscious that I went to the toilets and I hid in them. And this is at 16 years old. This is how self-conscious I was, right? Just being honest, because you could be someone right now who's like, oh, I'm so scared of being seen. And you're like, Jonny, you just can't. No, I had to work a lot to be where I am, right? And you can do it very quickly if you listen to some of the tips I do. It's just consistent work. Like, do some things for like a month and see how your life changes, right? It's not going to be like, I'm 34 now, so that's almost 20 years. That's crazy. All right, that's 18 years ago. But like, it's not going to take you 18 years, right? It didn't take me 18 years, by the way, either. Like, I built confidence over the next year or so of that. But like, and then even more when I went through work, and there's, more things I went through. But yeah, I just really want to emphasize that for you, that you can work through this so you're seen, And also this, like, I've like labeled myself like, I can't do this, I'm different because of that. People like to label themselves, say, well, I had this challenge that happened then, and therefore I'm traumatized to speak in public ever again. Like, people love to make up stories to hide, keep themselves safe. So don't do that. Focus on changing and being seen. And it doesn't mean you have to be like in front of 10,000 people or 1,000 people or 100 people at first or anything like that, right? But allowing yourself to be seen. There's actually, so that's my first point, is allow yourself to be seen. And also there's this, a great example I can think of this recently was at an event I went to, and there's a member of the audience who stood up and said, "I'm scared of being seen." Well played. Stood up and they went, "I'm therefore sharing my story," and everyone clapped him, right? Great. Next day, they stood up and said, "I'm facing my fear of being seen." The facilitator, who's a genius at what he does, healing genius, he then went, "You're not scared of being seen. You're scared of seeing yourself." Ooh. And this person did not like that. Well, they didn't react, but you could tell they were uncomfortable. But it was true, because you wouldn't have stood up twice if you really had the fear of being seen. But often people have the fear of seeing themselves. So see yourself first before anything. Look at yourself in the mirror every single day. Tell yourself you love you and really see yourself. Number 2, find a group that supports you. Find a supportive group that can build you up. Like there's things like Toastmasters, which are great. I don't do it anymore because due to time and I'm kind of past that. That's not an area of development in my life anymore. But it really helps with public speaking. It really helps you with being able to overcome the smallest little bits of public speaking. It's a friendly bunch of people who are supporting you. You even have to you can stand up and talk for like 10 seconds. I remember I stood up and talked for like 20 seconds the first time, right? And then I built even more confidence. In my first speech, I won it, which was awesome. When I did it, which was like a few weeks later. But yeah, I just remember that. Always celebrate your wins, even how far away in the past they were. But yeah, anyway, find a small group that supports you. Things like Toastmasters or people that are just like, don't, obviously, if you're scared of public speaking, don't jump into a group of highly professional public speakers that are going to go on stage in front of a fact. Like, yeah, don't do that. But like, do you know what I mean? You go to like a small group where they're working themselves, they're working their public speaking, or if it's being seen, or just, you know, just do something that people support you. And that leads me on to the final step. Start with small steps and celebrate along the way. So I spoke in front of like about 8 people when I first presented something at the meeting, even though I was terrified. And then I did something else, and then I did something else. And that built my confidence gradually before like I started doing podcasts. I started, you know, speaking in front of like 500 people the other day at an event. Although I find microphones a bit weird, not this kind of microphone I'm speaking into right now, but like in a whole like arena in a room, you got hundreds of people. But when I speak into it, it like echoes back and things like that. It's strange. But anyway, like I built up those steps and I celebrated along the way. The more you celebrate, the more you want to do something, by the way. So focus on feeling good about what you're doing and the steps you're taking. Go like, yes, I'm going to celebrate like crazy because I've just made 5 podcast episodes. I'm about to make my 6th one, and then that's set for the week. But celebrate like crazy. I did my accounts the other day and I was dreading it. And they weren't even that bad, but now I've still got to get the report back from my accountant, so that could be interesting. But I celebrated like crazy when I did that. So celebrate, take small steps and celebrate. Okay, those are my tips today for overcoming the fear of being seen. Remember, I also didn't say this, but this is a really crucial one that kind of overlaps all of this, or kind of overarches all of this. If you identify with being like someone who's not seen, that people don't want to see, and you keep identifying with that, that's what's going to happen. You're going to stay stuck in that identity. It is key you become clear about how you're identifying in life, because your identity is everything. You will always come back to your identity. Now it's going to take a mixture of like the right kind of brain techniques. I'm doing a lot of hypnosis at the moment and taking the appropriate actions. But yeah, be very conscious of your language. So the steps we talked about today: allow yourself to see you. Number 2, find a group that supports you. And number 3, small steps and celebrate along the way. So that's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you, and remember to leave with your heart and not with fear.